Hello and good evening to you. Thank you for taking the time to watch my day 2 update. The plan here is a 40-day fast. I am 2 days in. Today is the first day. Yesterday I did have pangs of hunger and such, and now I'm starting to feel it's around now that the blood sugar is pretty much gone from the system, and uh, full ketosis is in effect. My body switched over from sugar burning to fat burning, and there'll be a kind of a blood pressure drop in my system. And at the same time, now my weight loss should begin to steady to a certain extent. I think you guys will be interested to see the weight loss that has happened so far. It's been interesting, but I'll go to that in a minute because it's today. It was a big drop from yesterday. So before I go too far in, if you're ever going to consider doing an extended water fast longer than 3, 4, 5 days, please make sure you do seek advice from a medical professional. These lives and videos are not really designed to be medical advice. Fasts can be uh, quite dangerous physically and medically, and it's important that you're doing them under the guidance and supervision of someone, or that you kind of get feedback from someone who is experienced in them. With that being said, um, I began fasting, if you don't know my fasting journey, primarily in 2020, but I had been doing intermittent fasting for a long time, several years, probably, I really don't know when I started, maybe 2005, something like that. So I've been doing intermittent fasting for a while. I was doing 2 meals just for a long time. I didn't have breakfast for years. So I'd have a lunch and a dinner. And then I moved to Trinidad in 2014, and then that continued, and then I began really fasting in real earnest in 2020, late 2020, and then 2021. If you know, I had a plan for 100 days of fasting, and I did 96, and then 30, 40 days, something like that. I have it all written down. I was really methodical about tracking it. And I didn't do 40 days as I had hoped to do in 2021. So this is kind of a relaunch into my 40-day journey. And what I love about the 40-day journey, if anyone has read 3 of the amazing teachers of the Bible, Elijah, Moses, and Jesus, all demonstrated doing 40-day fasts. And a lot of people, um, a lot of the way these masters will teach is just through demonstration. And I think there's something really important around the 40-day period. When I did the other fast, and this is why I'm always like wishy-washy around my numbers of the 2021 total, is because I did 92 to 96, depending on how I figured it. And I'll tell you what happened, because it was a really challenging experience. And around day 32, I think, I had finished 32 days, I believe. And on the 33rd day, I was woken up at midnight. And I was woken up with literally being talked to in my head saying, John, you need to look up where calzones and pizzas are made. And what I find quite humorous about this is I have had at that point not eaten a pizza or had anything like that in years. I have probably, since 2014, since being in Trinidad, I've had pizza 3 times, maybe. I say this because my body was saying, you need to eat this. And it literally woke me up. I go to bed between 8 and 10 most nights, like it's 8, just after 8 o'clock. And when you fast, your body needs more rest. So downtime is an important time. So creating extra time for sleep is kind of paramount. But it woke me up. And in hindsight, you don't have to believe this or not, but one of the things that coincides with this 40 days is the concept of a demon, or whatever you want to call it. And the most prevalent demons out there are usually related to sex or food. There's other kinds of demons, but those are very prevalent, which is why a lot of people have interest in, like, men masturbate all the time. That's why porn's an addiction. These things are actually not that person's natural desire. It's actually a demonic infestation. And then the food desires of maybe sugar and certain other foods are these demonic infestations. And what's funny about the food demons, what is ironic about them, everything has an as above, so below component to it. So the demons, as it were, that are actually causing many of the issues with humanity, and I know this may sound crazy, but I'll just be blunt, are the smallest possible microorganisms within the body called candida. But candida, again, they're tiny little fungi, basically yeast, but they're in every person. And if someone eats a lot of flour, sugar, whatever, they're very prevalent. And these are the things that actually create brilliant, I wouldn't say brilliant, they create thought forms that tell us to do stuff, primarily, obviously, to eat sugars, sweets, flours, things like that. And these get starved out by not eating these things. So what happened in this 40-day fast is, again, 32 nights in, I got woken up, John, you got to eat some pizza. So, and calzones. I haven't had calzone in 20 years. And I got woken up and my brain was like, you could eat a whole calzone right now. And it was like this voice talking to me. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then I heard about the concept of, demonic spirits, entities, and all this kind of good stuff. And if you actually have paid attention to any of my posts about that, I actually, as crazy as it sounds, found that I had a demon that was making me have coffee. And I know it sounds crazy, but what you got to understand is these non-physical entities, they feed off the energy that humans produce. We are powerful. And the reason it may sound crazy is just because they're not visible to most people. And I will be authentic. I have seen maybe psychic impressions, or more than, between 5 and 10 psychic impressions. But I have seen with my third eye or inner sight, one that coming to me right away that was in my face. And yeah, and it was it looked like, just so you know, a black dragon that you would see in the Oriental style, Asian, Chinese dragon, like long kind of tail like that. And it was maybe 5-6 feet long. It was entirely black, kind of like that black see-through kind of thing. And it turned and looked at me, and then when I saw it, it disappeared and like poof, poof. But I'm not saying this to be whatever for people watching, but the point is demons exist. And the ones that exist most prevalently for humanity are actually demons of food, and again, sex. And if you feel a need to eat and you're like, I have to eat, it's not you that's starving, it's a demon. If you feel, oh, I need to have sex, oh, I need to masturbate, oh, I need to, hopefully this video doesn't get stopped because of this, oh, I need to do any kind of sexual act, for the most part, unfortunately, it's not us doing that, it's actually demonic. And I know this sounds crazy, but I've gone through these personally, just being blunt. And again, I had one for coffee that I thought was insane, but I figured out what it was actually one that would take my energy that of like this, you know how coffee kind of boosts and kind of creates an adrenal response that freaks out your body, which is what gives us that energy that coffee gives us. And I figured that out, and I said, well, I'm going to rebuke it. And I tried it, and it worked. And I literally, from that day, I've been no longer addicted to coffee. And what's incredible is coffee didn't taste as good after that day. So I think it was actually making me have coffee taste better. It's crazy. This crazy thing. So anyway, so these microdemons, which I mentioned before, which are called candida, which again are yeast, are in all of our blood. But because they're in all of humanity's blood, they create a larger thought form, and it becomes much more intelligent than these tiny little yeast are. So don't think the little yeast is intelligent, but as a mass group, it's intelligent. And these candida, they tell us what to do. And they have a much smarter thought form than this little thing. So you can think I'm crazy, and I have no problem with that. But I bring it back to let me finish and flesh out my plan here. I'm expecting this demon, this thought form, to talk to me, to wake me up at the 32nd day again. And I am ready to rebuke it when it happens, because it actually was not hard for me to rebuke the demon or entity, whatever term you want to call it. We can just call it an attachment. But it's not benevolent. This non-benevolent attachment, I've had the sexual ones and etc. So I say this, and if you guys have questions, just feel free to ask. I wasn't really planning on this being the topic, but I think it's important. These entities, they are very easily eliminated from us. But it's imperative to know that the only way they can actually attach to us and kind of get their etheric like claws into us, they almost feel like barbs, is if we have some sort of trauma that is like a weakness for us. So you'll notice that people who are deeply traumatized have a lot of these kind of issues. And there's a whole group of I guess you can call it like religious or Christian groups who they call deliverance. People kind of focus on deliverance ministry. And it's often mocked because it seems so outrageous. And I do think there is some falsehood to some of these, but I have been in, I don't know, 6 or 7 so far, sermons and such where they've done this kind of stuff and people have been delivered. So I've seen it, but I honestly didn't believe it at first. So I had learned the fact, okay, you can deliver you can do deliverance even on yourself. Here's the language. So I tried it with this coffee attachment. And again, it wasn't really, the coffee wasn't one, it was the stimulation. So it was an entity that was attached to that stimulation. So I did it. I basically was on my way. I was so pulled to go to Starbucks and buy that coffee. I was pulled, you gotta go. So I'm like, all right. I listened to it, and I was like salivating the thought. I drove there, and I'm like, you know what? I learned this stuff. I'm gonna test it. I tested it. I rebuked this, and the one of the things that Jesus Yeshua gave to humanity in the New Covenant is the ability to rebuke, to cast out these demons, to deliver us from them. And it's a very real thing. You don't have to believe it, but it is the genuine truth. And the challenge is these demons live in the shadows, even of the etheric world. So most people do not have an open inner eye, so they can't really see these things or perceive them. But they will go into a space, and hey, Bina, good to see you. They will go into a space and feel like there's a dark energy or an evil there. For example, I feel that when I walk into a road that has carnival, like the night before carnival, for example. My gym is rated on one of the roads in the east in Trinidad, and there I parked on the side street and I was walking to the road, and there were strong demonic forces basically telling me your kind is not allowed here. So I say this as the more I've kind of grown spiritually, 2 things happen. My sensitivity has grown. And by the way, if you're like, I don't feel very energetically sensitive or spiritually sensitive to these things, the rules of the universe are this. God cannot grant you a continued anointing in a certain way unless you ask for it. So you're like, God, please give me greater inner sight, greater sensitivity, show me, lead me down the path where I can maybe learn from someone who can teach me how to do these things, whatever. Ask and you shall receive. And the cool thing is, it's just in the asking, God's going to grant a tremendous amount of progress for you. But you do need to take action. So you ask, God's like, great. And then you have to take action. So don't just ask and meditate. The whole law of attraction is kind of a falsehood of that teaching. You have to ask, and then you need to take action towards it, maybe several actions, and then God will meet you halfway and help you out. And it may be a multifaceted, multi-step kind of process, and that's totally fine. But it's important that you embrace and ask, and these sensitivities can come about. And just to forewarn you, for those who want to have this whole inner sight thing, the world that we talk about, that's the non-physical world, the spiritual world, whatever, at present day, it is not a world that is primarily positive. There's a lot of demonic forces out there, as like the Bible and other, I don't know if other faiths say that actually, but it doesn't matter. We live in a world where the demonics are much more in our world, in the spiritual plane that we call the earth. But it's on the process of getting healthier. All right, so going back to the fast. So as I hit the 30 some odd days like I did last time in 2021, this time I plan to rebuke. And going back to the new covenant that Jesus had given humanity was one of the things that we got as basically, if you're familiar with like human law, there's something called a power of attorney. So humans are kind of like toddlers, maybe a 5 or 6 year old in the spiritual realms. We're very, very, very basic and kind of starting to grow. We were born and we were growing, but we're very young. Because of that, and obviously Jesus came from a place of high level of spiritual maturity and mastery, he helped humanity kind of get protection by being able to cast out demons. And basically, I rebuke you, and you can say in the name of the Christ, the name of Jesus. The language doesn't matter exactly, it's more intention based. And that's what I did with this coffee demon, this demon who was attached to me for trying to get the energy stimulation of the coffee. Sexual demons, same thing. And then those you may have to be a little more stern with, and you may have to do a few times, but they will leave. And men who, especially men, they're just prevalent in men throughout the world. It's honestly one of the main ways they really have a lot of energy harvesting from humanity. But my plan is on that 32nd day, when that demon comes, because I know it's still in me, I have yet to rebuke it, I'm going to plan on rebuking it. It just has to show itself for me to do it. You can't just rebuke and try to cast these things away if they don't show themselves. So that's kind of the process. You have to like create an opportunity for them to say, I'm hungry. And you're like, good, now I got you. So, all right, so let me see. I got a couple of messages. Your work proves your faith. Oh, thank you, Brother Christopher. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When you move, God moves. Yes, yes, yes. And Bina says you must believe in it. So true. Belief is where it's at. So Jesus talked about, and I'll take another, I can't remember the term, but he talked about the faith the size of a mustard seed can move a mountain. It is so true. So I talk about my, people may know, some people know on more intimate level, I'll talk to them, my kind of spiritual awakening, spiritual path, whatever. But these spiritual gifts that I'll talk about and you'll see posts about and such, they came about through me having some level of perception, something's happening. And I would tell someone who has a very open gift in that area, and I would say, I felt this. And then they say, oh, I saw this. Like, oh, it kind of matches up. And then I had greater faith in that. And I've had to have, this is no joke, 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 times, I've had to have some sort of impression and then have that be verified by someone else who had who has, again, more open gift in that gift. And then now I actually believe it. And as I believe, thank you, Bina, now it's like, I know. So it has created tremendous spiritual discernment to the degree I can go on a place, I can feel if there's entities on people. Even if I can't always see them in my inner sight, I can feel them on people. It's given me high levels of empathy, so I can tune into what someone's like, their internal version of them. Like the term they use in like the coaching and stuff that I've done is called inner child. I can feel their inner child, and I'm not BSing them. I just feel it. And And I can do that remotely, but it's much stronger physically. And then kind of on the positive side, I guess not that these are negative, but on the positive side, it's given me like, if I really tune into someone, kind of almost like a meditative state, I can almost feel them and see them where they're like, almost like their greatest potential. I always say, and now I have a greater understanding, it's more like how God would see them. So, okay. And for you guys who are watching this and you're like, John, you're totally off topic on your fasting today. One of the main reasons I'm doing 40 days of fasting is because Jesus did it, Moses did it, and Elijah did it to teach us and to demonstrate to do this. So I'm doing it. And for my last time, when I got cut off at 32. And what happened in my past when I say I did between 32 and 36 is my wife had bought these delicious organic grapes. And I would limit myself to a handful of these grapes. And that's, I don't know, 100 calories. But it wasn't keeping with my fast. So I did 32 true days of no real caloric anything. But I had 4 days of eating this handful of grapes. I'm like, eh. So I just stopped at 36 because that voice that said, eat, buy that calzone, order pizza. No joke, it's like 11 o'clock midnight, and I'm going to bed like 2 hours after I've been sleeping, waking me up saying, John, eat this. So how long am I doing on time? 20 minutes? Okay. I want to report on weight loss because people are always going to ask me, so I will do this every single day. And the weight loss, oh my gosh, these comments are the best. Christopher, you're the best, brother. I tell you, my friend, that's calzone. Yeah, so I'm about 2.5 days in. Calzone sounds pretty damn delicious right now. I love calzones, I'm not gonna lie. My gosh. I can't even eat like cheese right now. It kind of messes my body, but boy, I love a calzone. Anyway, so I started the fast at 240.9, and I lost 1.5 pounds exactly between 0 and 1 days. And now between yesterday and today, and I just measure myself first thing in the morning, by the way. First thing I wake up, I use the restroom, and then I weigh myself. So it's the lightest potential I could weigh. I lost 3.1 pounds. So the total I lost is 4.6 pounds in 2 days. So 2.5 pounds, 2.3 pounds per day, or 4.6 pounds total. And it's important to realize it takes about a day, even though it's basically, well, I was only eating fruit 2 or 3 days prior. So all I had is fruit in my system, and the fruit usually is digested in 2 hours, 90 minutes to 3 hours tops, very quick, and then it runs through. So some of that weight loss is the stuff passing through in a bowel movement, but the majority of that weight is going to be water loss. And if anyone ever has done keto diet, you lose a lot of water in the first 2-3 days, and it seems like you lost all this weight. You do lose weight, but it's not fat. So people often do fasting, obviously, to lose weight, and that's kind of a side benefit. I do it primarily, as I've told you, for anti-aging, spiritual benefits. Again, I'm 2 days in, and I can already tell looking more youthful after 2 days. So there is a benefit from a return for rejuvenation. But even if you skip around, so forget about me for a week, whatever, because I've done a lot of these longer fasts, the biggest change that people that like come up to me and say, what the hell are you doing, man, is the anti-aging effect is about 7 to 9 days in. And I will, so however old you think I look today, right, whatever you just say, I will probably anti-age about, I would say comfortably 10 years, but you let me know. So I guess I'll try to remember to ask you guys how young I look at that age. But okay, so I want to kind of bring in, because a lot of people will always ask how much weight do you lose from a fat perspective. So I have, because I've done long fasts, and this water weight, the majority of this weight that is on this card here is water weight. You lose 0.5 pound of fat over that time. So in these 2 days, it's roughly 1 pound of fat. And I also want to note, because here's another question I get all the time, what about muscle? One of the real blessings of of fasting, long fasts, is your body needs to have the ability to chase after something, to climb after something, to whatever. So your blood sugar is less because your body's running on fat, which it's called ketones. But so your energy will drop. And for those who haven't done this, tomorrow, if you happen to see me tomorrow night, I should have right now about 85% of normal energy. But I'm going to be honest with you. I tell people all the time, I'm a very experienced faster. My body is very clean toxically, or doesn't have a lot of toxins. So my experience right now is going to be and going forward, is going to be much nicer than other people's. So view me maybe in many respects as like someone to eventually aspire to. Understand that basically this is a many-year process of getting to where I'm going. But also, it could be viewed as an inspiration because there is a point that you can fast and you're not dead to the world. I did a 3-hour standing up training this morning to a sales training group, awesome group, by the way. And then we had a great time. And then I went, Christopher, I had 2 cigars with our sister Camille. I was sitting during that. And then I got home, had a coaching session. And then I did a group coaching session after, and then talked to my wife for a bit, and then I popped on here. So that's kind of been the process. But the muscle you don't lose is the point. You keep the majority of it. And in my experience in the past, I probably should like maybe measure my arm, or the circumference, whatever, and then like flex the arm and see the before and after. So right now I would say I'm total strength from like being really strong, whatever. I'd say I'm probably a middleweight, medium level strength. I've been really strong before, much more muscle mass, but I'm kind of medium now. But there is, bicep, tricep, like solid muscle there. So maybe I should measure. But the point is, you don't lose that much, because the last time even I did that long fast, I actually kept a fair amount of muscle. And people often worry about wasting away because you do feel less energetic. And it's a combination, I really feel, of the more toxic your system is, the more yucky you'll feel like you got a flu, but also you're just going to be wiped. So I always tell people, don't jump in to do long fast. To me, it's stupid, because one, it could actually kill you. And the fix to that, I always tell people, is always the last day or two before, let's say 2 days that you're eating before you start the fast, have nothing but fruit, raw fruit. And then when you restart refeeding, it's called refeeding, have a minimum of 2 or 3 days just fruit. And I would encourage the first couple meals be watermelon, because your body has these toxins it dumps into your colon. And if you get the way a lot of people that have died is they like, I'm going to have a steak and potatoes. And the problem is bread, carbs, all these things are very sticky, and it forces the body to reabsorb these toxins that you get dumped in your colon. So it's dangerous, seriously. So if you're going to do it, it's not fun, because you may be like, oh, I finally got to eat. And your body's like, yay, so excited. Always refeed with watermelon. And there's a strict rule. If you do not have a bowel movement within an hour of eating that watermelon, take a laxative. And the reason is you need that flushing. And that bowel movement, in my experience, even being clean, is stinky, because it's taking the stuff that's been dumping into your lower intestinal tract and flushing it out. I know these are very, kind of gross topics for some people, but we got to be real. I mean, this is what it's all about. So you will lose fat during the fast. So if you're looking to lose fat, it's a win-win in that regard. You will look younger. You will anti-age. If you're trying to make it permanent on the fat loss, whatever, that can be challenging because your body does want to have like a certain body weight. But if you can be kind of strict for a couple weeks after, your body can kind of acclimate to a new way of eating. People can do that, but you can also get right back to where you were too. So understand that that can be a benefit. When you do these longer fasts, you have major anti-aging, as I said. My birth date age, I am 46 and change right now. Biologically, I'm in my lower 20s, upper teens. And that is something that you will drop. And if you get into this, forget about weight loss for a minute. Just forget about that you're going to lose fat, because again, a lot of people do this for fat. But if you know that you're going to have body parts heal, if you're going to know that you're literally going to become biologically younger, it is so worth it. But don't jump into a long fast. Start doing, I always say, one day, get used to that. Do a few weeks, once in a while, do a one day. And then do a 36-hour or 48-hour, like as long as I'm in now. And then do that a handful of times. And then do 3 days, a handful of times. Maybe do 5 days, a handful of times. And the reason you do that, mixed with doing intermittent fasting, is your body's always detoxing. And in detoxing, it allows you to not have these long fasts be a living hell. So if you're someone who's tried a long fast and you're like, I am freaking dead to the world, that's okay. But you can mitigate that by doing intermittent fasting, occasional 1 to 3 day fasts, break it up, whatever you could. A lot of people, I tell people, by the way, a great way to do it is like Wednesday night or Thursday night, start fasting, and then you can start back eating, let's say Sunday afternoon or something. Like that's a great way of doing it. That way you can work and get a day in and work. You can easily get a day in without your blood sugar messing up. It's after a day and a half or so that you'll start noticing it. And you'll be hungry, but you'll be fine. But again, also the detox part starts hitting at 24, 36 hours too. But you have a lot of regenerative things, even with those smaller fasts. So don't worry about doing these monstrous fasts that I'm doing. But if and when you do get there, you're going to find magic, or seeming magic. The body is intelligent. If you think about it, nature doesn't have hospitals. Nature has fasting. A deer gets hit by a car and lives. That deer goes and hides in a safe place and literally does what's called a dry fast. Great question, Christopher. When it pops up, I was hoping it would pop up. I'm going to pop this up because that way I'll answer it in a minute. Great question, brother. Give me 1 sec. Because I do a couple of things. In nature, when an animal gets hit, they do what's called a dry fast, which is literally no water and sitting basically very still for 2 to 3 weeks. Because we can live without drinking water for a time, right? And our fat, by the way, kind of like a camel, can convert into water for our system. There's actually the molecules within fat molecules help us to create more water. So it's also kind of a water creation thing, but I'm not suggesting people do dry fasting. But my point is, in nature, that's the healing thing. And I've had sciatica healed, a pinched nerve healed, 2 bad knees from martial arts and running and all the kind of exercises. John was the athlete nuts when I was doing everything. Ironmans, marathons, martial arts in the night, weightlifting. I would do, you name it. And it really messed up a lot of my body systems, knees, backs, whatever. And it's gone now. I literally have no knee pain. My back is entirely pain-free, no sciatica nerve pain. I can twist better than I can ever remember because, again, there's that flexibility. So your body gets younger. So the biological age of whatever I am today, 18, 25, that doesn't really matter, because I really feel it. So it's not this false thing just because it's a number. It really is there, even if I don't know how old I look, but I know I don't look 25, but I do feel it in my body. I work out and I recover like I did when I was a kid too. That's another nice thing. All right, Christopher has a great question. Do you put anything in water? Okay. So I put, I work the entire time I do my fast. Some people are able to do water fasting, and they're able to do water fasting with nothing happening for their life, They're literally drinking water all day, watching TV, reading books, browsing YouTube, whatever. I don't do that. As I said, today I worked. Tomorrow I'm working, if you're going to work, I would even encourage this for water fasters. But so there are people who are water fasters, which are unbelievably anal and strict, saying you are not allowed to have anything but pure distilled water. I'm not a fan of that. So there's two views on this, and I have played with both. So, and I promise to answer your question, Christopher. I'm not ignoring it, but there's an important factor. The benefits, the anti-aging, the autophagy, which is your body self-eating, getting younger, self-repair, all of that happens regardless if you have salt in the water or you don't. It happens the exact same rate. They have studies to back it up. So the reason people fast, anti-aging, weight loss, all the real reasons are identical. But here's the pushback you'll hear, and I respect it. If you're able to lie down, your body will heal faster. I get that. I'll be honest with people. I listen to my body. If my body says I need a nap, I'll take a nap. But I also have structure in my life that I can take a nap if I need to take a nap, or just lie down for 20 minutes. Going back to your question, Christopher. Electrolytes, salt, potassium and magnesium. There's three main electrolytes our body needs as core electrolytes for healthy muscle function, brain function, etc. Those three allow us to function beautifully while fasting, and I do. I have pink salt. Pink salt's the cheap alternative. It's pennies on the dollar compared to Celtic sea salt. If you have a larger budget, Celtic sea salt is just a higher quality salt than anything out there. And there's one kind it's like alkali. It's not alkaline or something like that, but it's similar to that. And it's a version that they actually take from, this may sound insane. They send a deep submersible down to the bottom of a trench. I don't think it's Mariana Trench, but one of these trenches, and takes this water, which is really heavy and salt rich, but it doesn't have pollutants or very minimal pollutants, and it's mineral rich. It's like a whole other level of mineral rich, and then they dehydrate that and they create salt from it. I think it's ALKIL, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's expensive, but if you have budget, it's the best. And it tastes delicious. Delicious. And Celtic sea salt tastes better. Even regular Celtic sea salt tastes better than pink salt. Pink salt tastes better than iodized salt. But iodized salt and Celtic sea salt, besides the sodium, which is super helpful, helps your muscles not cramp up. People have huge cramping issues with fasting. And if they do any sort of physical activity, they're messed up. So what I do, so I will add that. So this is my water, and unfortunately, I don't have it. Let's see. I'm going to back it up with a light. You can't see it. That was a poor example. But this water has about half a teaspoon or thereabouts of Himalayan salt in it. And the water itself has a smidgen of a milky substance to it. And that is because it doesn't taste at all like salt. It tastes soft. If you ever tasted soft water, it tastes like soft water, but it's a game changer. Game changer. I don't care how anal people are and perfectionists about the water having nothing in it. I'm able to work because I do that. I also have magnesium citrate and potassium citrate that I take every day. That also helps everything not cramp up. One of the most common things that happens about 2 to 3 days into any kind of fasting, keto diet as they call it is fasting, is cramping. And if you buy magnesium, salt, but this is the cheapest of the three, obviously, and it's a game changer. Also, the blessing with salt is it raises your blood pressure, which sounds bad, in maybe a normal way of living, but when you fast, your blood sugar drops. And one of the other real dangers to fasting, and I mention this because I'm someone who can tell you from experience, during that, the road of that 32 days, I'd rather be conservative. That 32-day fast journey I did, 20 some days in, I stood up feeling all good. And I love the feeling. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, where you stand up and your head's like, whoa, I'm feeling a little dizzy. I'm just a kid. I love that feeling. I've never fainted. I've never worried about it, except when I fasted. So I literally stood up, being the cool kid that I am. I fainted. And literally my wife was 3 feet away, 4 feet away, talking to her. I hit my head right here, actually, where I hit. Oh, it's the most painful thing. And then this pinky, see how it has a dent? This beautiful dent is I landed on my pinky, and I'm sure at some point it'll repair itself during my long fast. But it's a reminder of the fact that, and I'm happy to teach this real quick because this is a game changer, because I will never do it again. When you get up, especially from lying down or seated, you get up in maybe 3 or 4 steps. So lying down, first of all, get the sitting. So you're sitting and you're kind of like, like you can hug your knees, like that kind of position. That's like phase 1. Phase 2, you get up to like legs kind of squatted and you're kind of bending over. Head should not be at this point be facing up. So you're kind of like this. And then so my hand's literally on my kneecaps right now. So I'm really resting on my kneecaps. Do that until maybe 15 seconds. And then you're going to go ride your hands up. And by the way, when you're exhausted during long fasts and you're detoxing a lot, you don't have a lot of energy. So your energy can drop to 40, 50%. And then you kind of ride your hands up to get to the top of your hips. You can't see it, but I'll show you. I'm wearing pants, right? So anyway, top of the hips, I kind of rest here. My head is still kind of staring at the ground. I do this for 15 seconds or so until I feel everything calm, and then I stand up. And even when I stand up, when you're really deep in the fast, I'll stand up to still have my head kind of pointing down, because it's all about your head your brain having blood go through it. Yeah, so I fell down, I passed out, hit my head. That was awful. It was a lesson. We all got to learn from our lessons. So that was a good lesson. So let me tell you what else I'm okay with having. And thank you for watching, for those who are watching. I will also have coffee, black coffee. And the thing that I would encourage with coffee is that when you do it, you use it sparingly. You don't have it every day. Ideally, you have a minimum of 2-day break between taking it, because what it does is, well, you probably know this. Coffee is an adrenal system stimulator. It works with your adrenals, which is why if you have too much coffee, you can actually experience called adrenal fatigue, which is basically your body can't get energized. And that's why coffee kind of gives you fake energy, because it's pushing your adrenal glands. But if you got to do something and you need to be on, coffee's like the magic. So what you do, so for example, next week, Thursday, I'm teaching the sales training. My energy, if I'm 85%, I was high this morning, but pretend I was at 85% like I feel right now, I may be, because I'm probably 9-10 days in at that point, I may be at that point 75, 70%. And by the way, when I was earlier in the fasting before detoxing, a week in, I would be 40%. Again, where you got to lie down and all that. But I've been blessed with being patiently going through this, and it's becoming easier every time. That's why I tell people, if you can do it like a muscle, you're going to be okay. I say this because that's a day I'll have coffee, but really important, that's on Thursday. So maybe Monday, if I have coffee, I have it on Monday, but I don't have it Tuesday or Wednesday. Like I have a webinar maybe in a week and a half, very important sales webinar. When I do it on that day, 2-3 days before, no coffee, just because I want to be on. As an FYI, when you do coffee that less frequently, or caffeine, it could be black tea, by the way. This black tea has less of a stimulating effect than coffee. you're going to notice it'll probably keep you up, even if coffee doesn't keep you up now, because it pushes your adrenaline system has a half-life of 6 hours, I think. If you're on the call and you know this, let me know. I think it's 6 hours. It's 6 or 8. No, I'm wrong. 90 minutes. It has a 90-minute half-life, meaning, and this is why, by the way, you're woken up by something, you can't go to sleep right away because it takes a while for the adrenaline to reduce. I think it's 90 minutes. If you know this, let me know. So the adrenaline half-life, 90 minutes. 90 minutes, I think, but I could be wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. So that's my story today. Thank you for letting me go on. I talked about the spiritual side of things, which is a very, very real side. And something I want to note too, because it's already starting to happen, and then I'll let you guys go because I'm 45 minutes in. God bless you. Is as you go through fasts, I truly feel there's an author who really made a great book. If you want to read a book on this, Fast This Way by Dave Asprey. And by the way, you're mentally very strong, as you can tell. You're so welcome, Brother Christopher. You're so welcome. The Fast This Way book talks about how when you fast, that he gives he has a lot of experience in this, and he kind of talks about pros and cons and how women should do it because it's different for women with hormones and all that, especially if you're still in menstrual cycles and all that. So it's kind of different, and it's a brilliant book because it's helped me a lot to help women to fast. Women generally struggle with it, but once they get good, any person can do this. And if a woman does a lot of fasting, her periods are virtually very little blood, very little pain, because one of the primary reasons for menstruation is actually a detox. So if you actually get into this and you start practicing this, you'll realize, wow, I have almost no period. It's virtually non-existent, and it's very short, light bleeding, etc. So it's that's kind of cool. I forgot what I was going to mention. I know. It's the ultimate personal development tool. Let me tell you what that is. So here's what I mean by it being the ultimate personal development tool. So when you fast, and this is a lesson I'm going to forewarn you now, your stuff, your crap, your emotional trauma, your baggage comes up, and it will rear its ugly face to you and to the world if the world is around when it rears its ugly face. The blessing with this is the stuff that you've been holding around for a long time, you can get rid of and you can actually heal through. So what's great, remember I mentioned, if you were paying attention or if you saw this from the beginning, I talked about demons attaching to trauma. You'll actually heal through trauma. It's profound. But also, you can't fight it. So right now, you're watching me. God bless you. I love you. I appreciate you. I love you, Brother Christopher. If Dina, you're still on, I love you. Whoever's on, I love you. And whoever watches in the future, I love you too. And I mean that authentically. I say this because right now, we all have our stuff, whatever it is. And this stuff, we are blessed with having food in our system and a strong amount of sugar in the system, and we can push it down when it comes up. And if it bothers us, we can experience a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of depression, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But what it doesn't happen when you're in long fast, and this is more like 5, 6, 7 days on beyond, is the challenge you have is that you will experience everything and you can't fight it. You just don't have resistance. So this thing comes up and you feel defenseless. You just start crying. You just start letting this energy go, and you're like, jeez, I can't. You have nothing. The person who you argue with sometimes, you got nothing. You're just like, I'm done. I can't fight with you. I can't. I just don't have the energy. And if they pester you, you literally will start crying. You just don't have. You can't fight them. It's a little bit humbling, but it's the biggest blessing in the world because you actually heal through your crap. So the stuff that you say, I'm good, I fixed it, all this kind of stuff, and you really didn't fix it, which is most of the stuff that we've dealt with. I'm healing through this as well as much as anyone else. And it comes up and it says, "Hi, where are you been pushing me down?" And now you got to face me, and you'll cry, but you'll finally work through it, because as you damn well know, nothing beats up or releases more energy than a good old-fashioned cry, and you can't stop until it's done. So you're going to have that time and you're like, I'm freaking defenseless, and you just go and you cry, and you just take a nap after, because it's easy to take a nap because you just don't have the energy. So you feel just like, I have no defenses. And this is the ultimate thing. Christopher, what a great, yes, shadow work. He's so smart. Christopher Crosley's a very smart man. He has a new YouTube channel, by the way. Christopher, if you want to share that in the comments, I'll share it here. Or make sure it has the name. Hopefully it has the name if you share. I'd love to happily promote that, because I don't know the name. It's a brand new YouTube channel, and I want to help promote our brother Christopher here as he's doing that, because he has very good introspection, and he's a great guy. And yeah, I'm happy to promote the people I love and appreciate in this world. And shadow work, man, shadow work. It's the ugly side, and it's we are so well trained in our society to say, peace, man. You need to relax. I'm gonna watch some TV and I'm gonna watch some YouTube, and that's how we get out of it. Is we watch YouTube. I do. I don't have a TV. I have a screen, but I don't have a TV. So for me, I have a lot of online classes. I have whatever other things to watch, but YouTube is my equivalent of TV. But what I like about it is I can pick what I'm watching. But I'm still being honest. I am avoiding the shadow work. I'm not actually facing the ugly things that need to be faced as much as I would like to say I am. I'm not perfect in that way, and I have no choice but to face it. So that would be my challenge to you. And maybe find ways when it's not going to impact you, because this can be at work, by the way, if you're working. And then one last thing. So I'll do one last thing, and I'll let you go unless another question comes up. So thank you for that, Christopher. So salt, Celtic salt. Let me bring up that question again. Celtic salt, sea salt, Himalayan salt. Again, the Himalayan salt's the most cost-effective, but Celtic salt's freaking delicious. And then potassium, magnesium, and coffee and tea for the caffeine, for that temporary boost. You're going to love it, but it will keep you awake, especially if you don't do it very often. And then what I add, one of the people I learned fasting when I was in this process is a guy named David Wolf. David is really, really, really brilliant when it comes to how to fast. He has a whole he has a whole thing on how to do it. He's one of these people he works full time and does 30-day fasts all the time. He's incredible. But I say this because one of the things he added, which I now have in my system, if you will, is I'll make teas from what they call medicinal mushrooms, which are reishi. It could be chaga, it could be wood ear, it could be lion's mane. And there's two ways of doing this. You can they have whole blends you can buy, and you basically take these extracts, you maybe put them in tea, drink it. That's one. I actually have a slow cooker, so I have a slow cooker, and we have in the house have bought these chaga mushrooms, and they broke them into chunks. I don't know, like cubes, maybe 2-inch cubes. The cubes have you just put them in the slow cooker, and then it lasts a month. And I just have what do you call it? Not a dowel, is dowel the term? But whatever, the scooper big spoon thing that you put into my cup. And then I put the pink salt or the Celtic salt brine in there, and that'll be my drink. And it is without having caffeine, it is like a power punch. But, and what I learned, the reason why, is the body, when you fast, it actually, your body recycles like proteins and all, like a lot of stuff your body needs, it actually recycles. Your body is freaking brilliant. That's why you also don't lose muscle. So it will break down muscle, but also rebuild it, like, because it will just recycle what it's getting. But it needs micronutrients. So people who do these really long, the longest recorded fast is like, I don't know, a long time, 180 days, 200 days, something like that. These people lose massive amounts they did it for primarily fat loss for these individuals. But in doing so, they learned that these people were benefiting by taking like a multivitamin. So I tried, and I never tried the multivitamin approach, but I have tried these chaga or whatever, various mushrooms, and they are loaded with micronutrients and minerals. So these are very mineral rich. So your body craves minerals. If you're someone who's like, I'm a chips person, anything that's salty that if you crave, you can even be, there's a lot of things that people eat that are very salty that their brain has associated with salt. That's a mineral deficiency, as an FYI. So if you begin even just to add pink salt to normal water as a normal practice, that does it's a kind of slow, but it's a slow way of increasing your mineral intake. Another thing you can do is they have mineral, do I have it? Not on me, but they have mineral drops you can get from certain high mineral deposits in the world. They have like a liquid form. It's called, if you look up liquid mineral drops, you'll find it's a blue and white label. And if you shoot me a message just to confirm what it is, I'd be happy to do it. It's well worth getting. And then there's another thing you can get, which I have as well, I just don't have within arm reach, is humic and fulvic acid. They have all these micro mineral rich things, and it sounds crazy, but I tried it out. If I drank this, so you probably had the experience where you had water before, you're hungry, and you have water and you're full for 20 minutes and then you're hungry again. I tried doing mineral rich water, not super much, but enough, and I wouldn't be hungry. I was like, that's weird. And then what I was able to find is that a lot of what I found were hunger pains half the time was my body wanting minerals. So that's my last thing. Minerals are a biggie. So you guys have been awesome. Just under an hour. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on, Christopher. Bina, if you're there, I appreciate you too. So guys, have a blessed night. Thank you for your participation and all your support. My plan is to be on every day. I have a Lyme on Saturday. I'll probably come on before I leave. So probably early afternoon, but whatever. I'm not going to plan to make these any specific time. That way I can just come on and, if you guys think it'd be beneficial for me to put them on at a certain time or announce it an hour or half hour before, I'd be happy to do that. I'm not against it. But yeah, let me know if that's something you're interested in, because I can at least let you know when I'm going to be coming on, so you can plan to be here if you want to check out my status. And if not, that's all good. And try to tune in about a week from now, because I want you to see like these wrinkles and my general facial appearance. Besides obviously losing a few pounds, I will look younger. There's going to be a shift. And I'm kind of excited to see the sales training group next week, Thursday, because they're going to be like, what are you doing, man? You look younger today. And it's a beautiful thing. So God bless you. Thank you for all your support. I hope you have an amazing night, and I'll see you next week.